right? And talks about you not giving the person a chance and all of that. What chance you giving the person? The person have not proved, just because they spent 20 years in prison, they have not proven themselves to you. You have to deal with them accordingly. And that's my view on that. People may not agree with that, but I think that's the kind of message you must send. And a part of the punishment for committing a crime, you must be actually stigmatized. You must be embarrassed.
Do you really, let me ask you this one question before we start getting some calls from the audience. Do you really think that when a mental patient goes to the psychiatric hospital, when they are released from there to re-enter society, do you think that everybody should run away when they see them and say, he's a madman? You really think that you should do that? I said, well, you can't blame them, because he licked up a lot of people before you went in, and people would be afraid of him, And do you think you should do that? Would you consider that being humane? Would you consider that being sensitive? Would you even consider that being Christian?
John, if you have a reputation, people should deal with you according to your reputation. Okay? If you have a reputation for being violent, people see you coming, they have to be careful. If you have a reputation of being a upright citizen, honest, clear, honest, and upright, you uphold the law and everything. I know John. I would trust John. I would trust John with my children. I would trust John with my family. I would trust John in my home. Because I know John. John has a reputation for standing up for what is right and not committing and not doing anything wrong. So therefore I will trust John. But if you have a reputation for dishonesty and you creating all kinds of mayhem in a society, you're robbing, you're raping, you're stealing, you're breaking, you're entering. How should I treat you, John, when I see you are wrong? How should I treat you?
Do you know of anybody who was worse when it comes to murdering than Paul? Saul, who, because of his Damascus experience, had the change. Huh?
And, if
to this day people were still saying, Paul, I'm afraid of him, don't let him come, would you have those letters to Corinthians and Thessalonica and whatnot? Would you have any of that? He was given a chance.
No. Hold it. Why Paul had that kind of characteristics in him, where he was committing crime, murdering, and so on? Nobody would have given him a chance. Paul only get the chance when he was reformed, when he proved himself that he was no longer such a person. In fact, even when he was reformed, there were people who still looked at him in a certain way. As a matter of fact, look at the situation with Moses. What did he, when he tried to correct an individual, what did the individual say to him?
You killed you killed the Egyptian, and it won't kill us. But that was while he was getting to, he was still given a chance to prove himself. If everybody behaved like that forever, he would never be able to prove himself. And that's the point that I'm making.
That's not true. Because if I come out of prison after spending 10 years and I'm living next door to you, I went in there for breaking and entering. Let's break off every house in the neighborhood. I come back into society now. I come next door and going back to the same place I used to live. It is normal for everyone there to be extremely suspicious of me because I'm not back in the neighborhood. But after spending 6 months, 7 months, a year, 2 years, I have not touched one house. Gradually, I will start to gain the respect and trust of my community because what? It is unusual and it's really uncharacteristic of me to start to go in for it to be a wrong here. I have not touched one house in 6 months. People let me tell you differently.
Leon, let me tell you something. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up to see if it's growing. You leave it there Yes, you watch it, but you don't go and dig it up. You don't make it obvious to the fella, you're a jailbird. We don't want you, even by your behavior. When you come there and you're moving away, you don't do that. That is like planting a seed and digging it up every morning to see if it's growing. You don't do that.
You shouldn't do that, but you must agree. You must agree.
Give him a chance to prove himself. That's all I'm saying. I don't see why we're meeting each other at right angles. We should be a here. The man has paid his dues. He went and he spent 20 years in jail for the wrong he did. He was not acquitted. 20 years.
Why must give him a chance? I've just outlined. I've just outlined the situation for you.
Don't
someone who would have
to see if he's growing. Let him grow. Leave him in the soil and let him grow. You will soon whether or not he's growing on where he's growing or not.
Okay. At this time, if you want to call and participate in the program, you can. For those who are listening in New York, you can call 718-879-5560 extension 303. For those of you in Canada, you can call 14-168-000-379. And for those of you in 379, extension 347. For those of listeners in the UK, can call 442-03-31-82-614, extension 337. You can also get in touch with us by Skype at ccbradio.com or on Facebook at ccbradio. For those of you who want to participate in the program, or you can email us at ccbradio@ccbradio.com. Okay, well, we'll just go for a break and then we'll come again to continue this discussion.
Tell it as it is, with your hosts, Leon George and Leary McRae.
Real talk, real issues.
Welcome back to CCB Radio. Welcome back to Tell It Like It Is. And John, before we go off, I think what we did, we probably spent a little too much time on that one particular point. I think we should move on. I know it was a very contentious issue, and we have not able to change each other's views on that. I didn't expect that we would have changed each other's views too. I think it's a topic that I think, for me, I'm very passionate about it, and there was a lot of sometimes a little emotion comes in there and so on. But
but
I wonder if you could look now at the whole system of what will be the cause of a person ended in prison, what ended up in prison in the first place. What will be the cause? You see, because if you're talking rehabilitation, and you're talking about having programs that will not make a person return to prison and all of that, you're preparing a person to go back into society.
Yeah.
From prison. I don't think we can do that by first examining what will be the situation that get the person in prison in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you definitely have to go that way before you prepare a person to not, because I don't have any figures to tell you what is the statistics like for prisoners returning for repeat offenders. I can't say that I have any figures, not even here in Trinidad and Tobago, what percentage of people. So we want to take a look at that the kinds of situation that person might find themselves in that will land them in prison in the first place. right? And I think an individual should be dealt with from that point of view. I don't know if the magistrate or the judge should do it, but it's not my view that they should do it. I think that should be dealt with when they has received their sentence and they go and they have gone to prison to serve their sentence. The job of a judge or a magistrate is to apply the penalty for the crime you have committed. The circumstances and all of that would have get you there. I think it's unfortunate, but that the judge will have to. It's at times that the judge or magistrate will have to overlook that, because in many instances they don't really have that authority to examine the situation and give you a sentence according. They will have to go by the stipulated laws that lay down and have to sentence the person according with that, because the judge in itself or magistrate can't deal with any emotions and that kind of thing, even though they will want to do it, you know. And there are situations where the judge will have discretion. So I'm not saying that, but there are some instances where a judge or a magistrate do not have discretion. All they have to do is apply the law,
but
as stated.
That's not the way we do it nowadays. Now, when you appear before the magistrate or judge, whatever you're talking about, there's a case against you. In all fairness to the person, the judge does not sit there and decide that he is going to send you off to prison because he is angry at what you do. You see, he understands.
That's the point I'm making, you know.
Right, but listen to me. The judge or magistrate, understands the law that you have broken. And he understands what the penalty is for that law. But you know, he uses the reports of the probation officer who understands growth and development of people, who understands child development, and who understands a whole lot of things about people, who would do home visit and do an assessment of the family situation and would come with a valuable report to the magistrate or judge, letting him understand the circumstances under which this child came up and what he is likely to do because of certain pressures which he underwent. And the magistrate will use that as a diagnostic device to determine should this person be totally guilty of their behavior, or this is diminished responsibility due to certain social circumstances. So the probation officer looks into this and give the magistrate or judge, the legal officer, information that will help him to understand why this boy or girl did what they did. And he can then determine, does this deserve the full weight of the law, or should I use my discretion? So it is a team that works together to find out what decisions should be made. And that is where rehabilitation will come in. Because if a guy just walks the road and let's say he moves into your orchard and steals a bundle of your oranges, the probation officer may be able to show where he has not had a meal for 2 days. He's hungry. And it was for this reason he sought sustenance. Not that he's a wicked guy decide, I'm going now and reap your crops. But the magistrate wouldn't know that. The magistrate would only know, here's the boy who comes to me for larceny. The penalty for larceny is 6 months in jail. He gives him 6 months in jail, not knowing the circumstances under which he stole. And the probation officer takes care of that. That is why together they can make it reasonably fair for the defendant.
You know, I was hoping that you didn't go there. I was really hoping that you didn't go there. You know, and there are so many things to say there and so many things that I will not want to touch on. But it talks about the judge on the magistrate looking at the report of the probation officer and all of that, and even the social worker.
Yeah.
But there are many, magistrates and judges are also human, and then there are many instances where they erred in judgment, in carrying out even their own duty. They make errors, and sometimes they don't even do these things. However, how often such a thing happen? Because I can tell you there was a case here in Trinidad recently where a woman, she's actually in prison. She has about 9 children, 33 years old. And just think about a person 33 years having 9 children. You could just examine how far apart the ages will be. She was charged for child abandonment. She probably left the child and went to take a bath in the beach or something like that. And when the authorities came in, I think it might have been the police or something, they find the children living in what's it called, less than humane conditions.
Yeah.
And she was brought before the court, and she was given a jail sentence. Now, her lawyer and other people from the community cry outrage in the way the magistrate would have dealt with the case, because I think the magistrate did not take all the circumstances into consideration. This person would have suffered a tremendous amount of hardship. They even has a mental problem, and all of these things. And what was so unusual about this case is that while the magistrate described the lady for living in abject poverty, gave her the sentence and also charge her $3,000, and if she don't pay it, she will serve another jail sentence. This is a lady, you will recognize that she lives in abject poverty. Now, how on earth will she get $3,000 when she can't even buy a proper bed for children to sleep on? And what was he thinking behind this judicial officer? What was he thinking behind this magistrate?
So,
it's hard for one to understand that.
So the magistrate didn't employ the services of the probation officer, the social workers, to look into the case.
From all indications and from what we've seen, from all the evidence that are coming out now and all, it would look like the magistrate did not go that way. The magistrate would have looked at the situation and the report that you would have got from the police at the time when they went in and see the condition that the children was living in. And from all indication, the magistrate would have gone from that report. And from what we're hearing and reading in the newspaper, it looks like the magistrate.
I'll tell you something, George. Our flying fish gone to Trinidad. I think we better send down some social workers too.
Yes, well, I can't. This is what you see. Well, however, you mentioned something a while ago that disturbed me a lot. And this is what I have a real problem with. You talk about the circumstances of a person going in and stealing some oranges or something because they had not had have a meal or something.
Yeah.
John, I'm very sorry, but hardship and poverty does not give you a license to interfere with what is not yours. There is not enough respect for private property as far as I see in this country. If I am not working and things are hard with me, that does not give me the right to go and interfere with something that is not mine. So I'm very sorry. I could ask for it or beg, but just to go and take it without permission, that could never be. That's a no-no for me. And I totally disagree with that. And if I am a judicial officer, a magistrate, or a judge, and someone come before me for a situation like that where they interfere with going to somebody's property because of the economic situation, or so they didn't have anything to eat or they are not employed, I will show no mercy for you. I totally disagree with that circumstances.
But let me tell you something.
I disagree with that situation that you would have outlined.
George, that sounds rather unchristian. But let me tell you something, George. It is far different from the guy who walks to your orchard, picks about 24 mangoes and go and sell them. The fellow who goes there and pick two because he's really hungry and eat them, you tell me you have no mercy? George, you really told me that?
Yes, I told you that. And you see, you talk about being unchristian. When a magistrate be or a judge sit there, they are not supposed to deal with that kind of thing about what is Christian and what is unchristian. They deal with the law in front of them. Listen to it, it may sound unfortunate, but I'm saying to you, the same way I comes in and take up those oranges or those mangoes, I could ask for it. I could ask somebody. There is not, I am saying to you, it does not give me the right. It can't justify a wrong like that.
George, listen to me. Even God himself makes allowances. He says to those to whom much is given, much is required. George, there's certain things that you do that you'll get the full blunt of the law. Another guy, because of his condition, wouldn't. You've got to understand this, George. If I walk down the streets of Bridgetown and went behind a utility pole and I voided urine there, the law had nothing to do with how much it was burning me and how I wanted to release. I shouldn't do it there. And I will face the law for it. But if it was proven that I am Alzheimer's, I would not face the law. To whom much is given, much is required. If something is wrong with someone, you cannot treat them like somebody who is okay and just nonchalant and couldn't care less about the other person. A man who is starved, he hasn't eaten for 2 days.
Come on, I think you really, John, I think you're really stressing it here. A man will wait till he have not eaten for 2 days to rectify that situation. There are many options. There are many options open to such an individual.
You're talking about somebody who is fully responsible, a person with full responsibility. They've got people with diminished responsibility because of a low IQ. And they may not have anybody to take care of them, like any social care, any welfare thing. They've got waifs who sleep on the street. It isn't because that. You got to remember that.
Yeah,
don't judge people by your own yardstick, George. I certainly won't go and thief mangoes from anybody. I get a salary. But we've got some people who will go and steal them and sell them. But we'll still find somebody who will go and steal to them.
And John, they could very well say because they are not employed at this time, that's why they have to go and steal the mango. Don't forget, callers. You can get in on the program if you want to. You could call us anytime if you want to get in on the program. Yes, John.
Hello.
John. The justification that you're applying tonight, I can't see the logic in it. I'm telling you, John, there is no justification for interfering with something that is not yours, John. If someone is mentally unstable, that's a different situation.
Well, you just told me that your master in check with a probation officer about anything.
That's a case in that.
You steal, I lock you up. That's what you're telling me. You steal, I lock you up. I ain't nothing to do with that. You spent 3 or 4 years in the mental hospital and you're now out on trial. I didn't know that.
John, that one situation that I outlined for you with the magistrate and the lady who had the 9 children, that should not be used as a blanket statement to pass on all magistrates here in Trinidad. That was just at one magistrate. I am saying that is not the situation we should use.
The mere fact that you brought it, that is not the only case in Trinidad like that. And
not just in Trinidad. I am saying the people who sit who sit in the situation, who sit in the position to exercise this authority. I am saying this can happen. Once you're an individual, you can make an error. Doesn't matter if it's in Trinidad, New York, Russia, where once you're a human, you're an individual sitting with an authority, it is likely to have someone who will err in their judgment, who will make mistake, and that magistrate was one such person. And I am saying that should not be a blanket, to cover all officers, all judicial officers, all individuals who sit in such a position of authority.
I agree with what I'm saying is this: it should not be that important that you had to bring as an example. Not with someone of that caliber. You should know that sitting on that bench, there's certain things that you are not going to know. No magistrate or judge ever went to a murder scene while it was happening. Evidence came, and he judged from the evidence heard in court. And therefore I'm saying, get the evidence from your probation officer, your social worker, who can go and do a home visit and who can get the facts of the place, which will help you to adjudicate your case, because you didn't go there. You don't know the man. All you know is that the ex came before me for stealing mangoes, and that means 6 months in jail. 6 months, next case. Yeah, it isn't done like that.
Well, you see, you're painting like I tell you, are generalizing the situation here, and I'm telling you that, you see, you don't mention that they have to deal with the evidence in front of them, and if there's not sufficient evidence, well, then they will.